Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to this last session of the Info Day dedicated to Cluster 4. And so I'm the new moderator of this afternoon session, and together with the other speakers, we will go through the additional topics and some horizontal, let's say, themes, informations. So basically, now we are moving to the last destination dedicated to digital and industrial technology, driving human-centric innovation, with two specific topics, and which is 04 Human 01 and 04 Human 02. And our colleagues Adelina and Jorge will explain and give you additional details about those two topics. And now, so I will give the floor to Adelina. If you are around, please show up.
Hello, good afternoon.
And, yes, the floor is yours.
Thank you. So, as announced by my colleague before, we will delve into the first topic of this destination. That is a topic under the umbrella of the Virtual Worlds Partnership. It's an innovation action on developing and demonstrating core technologies for virtual worlds and Web 4.0. As outcomes under this topic, we are expecting proposals to cover the following two outcomes, both at the same time. To contribute to bringing the full integration of virtual worlds and Web 4.0 technologies to the next level, but at the same time also to prepare the next generation of technologies related to virtual worlds, technologies that are supposed to propose a deeper and closer to real immersion by a simulation using different senses. It's supposed to capture and interpret user movements and environmental data, at the same time providing realistic multimodal, tactile, and kinesthetic interactions, and also feedback for engaging and lifelike experiences. Also to improve the interactions of the users in real time by having a lower latency, by increasing responsiveness, and dynamically responding to users' inputs and environmental changes. Next slide, please. In point of scope, here we have a good list of things that we are expecting the proposals to cover. And we are talking about the creation of assets and scenes in order to have realistic and human-centric environments, to use generative AI technology for experiences that are more personalized, that are natural, immersive visualization and interaction for an experience that is seamless, that is inclusive for the user. We're talking about a full integration and interoperability of the extended reality and immersive domains and applications. And we give in the text an example, digital twins. And also, we are expecting proposals to tackle XR integration across the telco cloud-to-edge continuum in order to ensure reliable resources, low latency, and intelligent network support. Next slide, please. Now we have also some, let's say, important requirements that we would like proposals to approach under this specific topic. And here we refer especially to the advance of the development of technological standards, of common data formats and protocols for real-time, for seamless and also intuitive user interaction and information exchange between systems and platforms. We expect also proposals to involve SSH expertise for increasing the societal impact of the activities that are to be tackled under the research of this project. And also to include demonstrators in order to illustrate the usefulness and the efficiency of the developed virtual worlds technologies. And this should be in real world scenarios in both industrial and societal contexts. Demonstrators that are supposed to exploit the telco cloud to edge continuum and the FreeC pilots on converged telco edge cloud infrastructure. And then there is another requirement under this topic is for the proposals to include future collaboration, future synergies with the actions that will be funded under the topic data 08, and that is about demand side FreeC pilot demonstrators on converged telco edge cloud infrastructure, because as you see, there are links between the two topics. Slide, please. As I said before, so it's an innovation action with a total budget of 30 million euro, and we expect each project to have a budget between 4 and 5 million. In point of technology readiness level, we expect the proposals to start at 4 and arrive by the end of the project at a TRL 6. And as duration, we expect proposals to have 36 months lifetime. An information that I would like to convey to you now is that on the 3rd of February, that is next week, there is a brokerage event that is organized by the Virtual Worlds Association, where we'll also delve into this topic in case you are interested to follow. And that was all from my side.
Thank you, Adelina. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, before to give the floor to Jorge, I wanted just to remind to the people online that you can still ask your question via Slido using also remind that you need to change the room and to select the right room. So in this case, is the human section if you want to ask a question. And now, Jorge. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I'm going to present the topic related to architectural framework and open internet stack applications for virtual worlds. In this topic, I'm going to start with the scope because it is very important to emphasize that the topics has two areas of work. One is the architectural framework, the other one is the applications, and only proposals that fit into one of these two areas will be eligible for this topic. And it is important to make clear that the proposers have to address one of the two and should clearly identify which topic you are addressing, because we have a condition that at least one proposal per area will be selected, and in the case of the architectural framework, only one proposal will be selected. In the case of the application areas, after the first proposal, then if there is available budget, more applications could be selected for funding. So the architectural framework is focusing on the different layers from open hardware, web, AI agents, up to immersive and decentralized applications. And the focus is to demonstrate immersive multimodal user interaction, and while at the same time enhancing trust, privacy, portability, etc. In the case of the application areas, they should focus on one or more of the following technologies. So a same proposal can address several of these sub-areas or just one of them. This is up to the proposers. So the first one is related to alternative decentralized applications and services, covering from messaging, video conferencing, collaboration, social media, where that can be exploited through virtual world technologies, including immersion and interaction. The second one is related to app stores adapted for virtual worlds, and the third one is related to cross-technology virtual worlds for user and attribute management in a way that this can be applied seamlessly in different virtual world platforms. In the case of the application area, there are some conditions that the proposers should demonstrate: technical maturity, a critical mass of communities who are actively supporting these developments, and that there is interest from users and deployers on the solutions that are proposed. And I wanted to indicate that in both areas, it is possible to use FSTP to engage with further communities. In the case of the architectural framework, up to a maximum of 70%. In the case of the application, up to 20%, but this is voluntary. If the proposers don't want to have any FSTP, this is also valid. So it is up to you to choose if you want and how much you want up to these limits. Next slide, please. Now, if we go to the expected outcomes, again, this is structured according to the area. So there is a first one that is related to both of them. So stimulating the emergence of Web 4.0 and virtual world solutions. And then there are something specific for the architectural framework. So that is made of cross-platform, interoperable, trustable, safe and secure building blocks that rely on open source software and structure an agile ecosystem of contributors. In the application areas, open source is also, again, a key factor that we are looking as an outcome that deliver credible alternatives to the existing applications and platforms that are supporting citizens, governments, and companies, interoperable and standard-based solutions, and compliant by design with EU rules and regulations. The budget for this topic is 16.8 million. The contribution per project is quite different. So we are talking about between 2.8 and 8.4 million. The reason for this is that in particular in the applications areas, it could be possible to have a very focused targeted application or a more ambitious application covering a wider set of technologies, and that will allow for a different type of budgets in the proposals that people will present. The TRL, we are not using TRLs in the case of open source solutions. There is not following this waterfall approach where TRLs make quite a lot of sense. In our case, this is the communities are following this more DevOps approach in terms of development of software, and then we are not following the TRL, so it's not necessary to indicate in the proposal. Next slide, please. Finally, the topic has a number of cross-cutting requirements for both areas. So it's important for proposers that you are aware of this. So you have to address mechanisms for maturing these building blocks, because the idea will be to incorporate them within this initiative of the Open Internet Stack. The applicants should also detail the path for growing these building blocks, for example, through standardization, how will you animate open source communities, etc. Then it will be important also collaboration and synergies with other European initiatives. We are part of the virtual worlds Web 4.0, but then we have also the 3C and Open Internet Stack initiatives, but also there are at national European levels, there are also a number of digital common initiatives, digital common SEDIC, so it will be important to place your proposal within this wider context. And it will be very important also that the applicants should demonstrate experience and understanding of open source communities and expertise covering the full open source life cycle. We are not looking for consortia that are not particularly engaged in open source communities that will develop a piece of software that will go to GitHub and will remain there. Okay, we want people who are engaged with open source communities and ensure that there will be a continuity of these efforts. And And in the case that applicants opt for financial support to third parties, the calls should be targeting these open source communities, and this should be the aim of the FSTP calls. And with this, I finish the presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jorge. So now it's time for your questions. Here you have all the information. So slido.com, #Horizon, and as I said, please check if you are in the right room to send your question. So I see already one question for human-01. Is this call also targeted at hardware innovation, for example, new display and optics technology, or just software?
This call is not focused on hardware. This is something that we plan for the future. So it's mainly technologies and applications topic.
Okay. You. Next question, always for you, Adelina. How is it seen a proposal focusing on specific area, for example, healthcare, with several applications, for example, XR, I mean, extended reality for curating pathologies or for diagnosis and etc.
Well, as it's this topic is conceived is in order to have big demonstrators that are tackling different senses, different applications. So it is not out of scope if it's focusing on a particular area, but of course, ideally, it should cover as many domains as possible in order to show how these technologies are applied across sectors.
Thank you, Adelina. And I see one other question. Is there a place for telecommunication sector stakeholders to participate? I guess we can keep it general for both topics.
So I guess as part of a consortium that is addressing also, let's say, other technologies, yes, but it's not, of course, possible to focus or to have just a telecommunication sector consortium based. And I don't know for
Yeah. I think in
the
our case it's also similar. So there are specific calls for the communications sector, telecommunication sector in the work program. Here it's accepted, but then it has to be within the what we are targeting. And we are targeting if you are from the telecommunication sector and you are animating some open source communities and you are driving, etc., that will be perfect. But you have to fit within the things that we are calling for. Okay, so this is for the telecommunication sector or for anyone else that want to participate to the call.
Okay, so another question for you, Madelina. Is the involvement of edge to cloud continuum a requirement or good to have?
Well, for the demonstrators, they have to exploit these technologies. So I would say, again, ideally, it should involve the edge to cloud continuum requirement in order to provide, to address meaningfully the scopes of the topic.
Thank you. And then another question for Jorge. Does open source contribution in terms of publication count for the history of open source contribution requirement over the years?
Well, I think the call text is quite explicit, so applicants should demonstrate their experience and understanding of open source communities, and then you can provide any information, and then, well, this is one of the possibilities to present. And then it's also a requirement to prove or demonstrate the expertise covering the full open source life cycle through proven track record, including years of experience. And then it is up to you, how do you prove this? Okay, so these are the requirements, and then there are multiple options, and then each consortium will have to prove it.
Thank you, Jorge. So let's wait still a few seconds to see if in the meantime there are other there are other questions coming up for these two topics. In the meantime, I would like to thank you, our colleagues on the backside, that you don't see them, but they are doing a great job dealing with the Slidos, with the streaming, with all these things. And so thanks a lot for the help and for the support. Without you, this couldn't happen. So I guess no more question. So yes, see you in few minutes. Thank you. So we are back. Welcome back to everybody to this last part dedicated to the horizontal aspects. We will go through the different topics like the funding and tender portal, the application process, the validation service, and so on. So I don't want things. We have a lot of things to talk about. I would like just already invite our colleague Olivier to speak about the funding and tender portal. Olivier, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Elena, and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Olivier Margan, and I'm working as an external service provider in DG RTD. So this presentation will be mostly about the novelties of the funding and tenders portal. Some of them are quite recent, some of them have been developed already a few months ago, but hopefully we will be able to show you a few useful tips and tricks to navigate the funding and tenders portal. So let's start with the burning topic that is really very hot right now. It's the two-factor authentication. So this is something that has been deployed already quite some time ago. The principle of two-factor authentication is the same as you have on many other websites. So this is not specific to the funding and tenders portal, but it's to not be limited with the combination of a username and a password, but to also have a physical device that will actually confirm that you are attempting to connect to the funding and tenders portal. There are many different ways to enforce this. You see that they are listed here. So we have first the eLogin mobile app, which you can install on tablets and smartphones. So you can either use it to scan a QR code or to insert a PIN code in order to use the second factor. If your country allows for it, you have the eID. So this is the electronic identification cards, so the national ID cards, which have a chip. If you have this, then you can also use it as a second factor authentication. We also have the special USB security keys, which are external USB sticks that you plug into your computer, or the trusted platform. Maybe I can talk a bit about the trusted platform, because this is a method which is not very well known, but which is actually very useful. It's, for example, in the case of Windows computers, is using the Windows Hello way of authenticating. So, for example, if you are using a PIN code or facial recognition or fingerprint in order to log into your computer, you can use this as the second factor authentication. So you don't need to have an external device on top of your computer. So that's something which is quite useful to know. And we have also the whole system of passkeys, which is the latest addition to all those different means of connecting. And this means that you can actually store this passkey on your mobile device or your computer. What is important to know, the reason why I was mentioning the fact that this is quite a burning topic right now, it's because the use of two-factor authentication will be mandatory in the course of 2026 for all the portal users, or at least all the roles that have to deal with sensitive data on the portal. This will be gradual, and the users that will be concerned by this mandatory use will be notified. So you will receive a notification before you are asked to, before the use of two-factor authentication becomes mandatory. Typically, the notifications are sent out between 7 and 10 days, usually, so that you have time to activate it. We already have run several campaigns in order to promote two-factor authentication and to explain how it works. On this next slide, yes, we have all the useful links. So if you want to know more, I would invite you to have a look at the video tutorials. We have a few of them for each different method that will explain with screenshots how everything is working. We have also detailed written information in the IT how-to wiki. And the two webinars that we have organized recently are there, so you can just go watch them again. You have presentations, Q&As. I mean, really, there's really extensive resources in case you are stuck with two-factor authentication. And if you still can't find the answer, then you can also contact the help desk in order to solve your issue. So I will not go much further about two-factor authentication, because for some people it's really easy, some need a bit more explanation, but I think that you have all the resources you need. The REA part of the portal, which is the part that is displayed once you use your EU login account to log into the portal. There have been a few changes. You see that this new menu appears here on the left-hand side. So again, you need to log in first in order to be able to see it. The principle is always the same. So for example, here I took the example of the projects tab. If you go there, you will have a list of all your projects, and in case you need to take any action, you will have those 3 dots at the end of the line, and this is specific for each of the projects that you are managing. If you are part of an organization, you will have the same thing, and so on and so forth. Same for the proposals, for example. The biggest novelty is the introduction of the so-called content center. So we try to have content which is actually more tailored for every different users. We have different things. The tab that I have highlighted here is the saved searches, for example. So if you are used to going on the portal and do the same search over and over again, once you are logged in using your EU login account, you can actually save those search criteria and you reuse them all the time, so that you don't need to go and type and set all the filters all the time. We also have, so the notifications, this is something that you know, this is the same place where you will get a copy of all the notifications that are sent to you if you need to take action. We have the subscriptions, so you can actually receive some notifications about specific calls, specific projects, specific organizations, specific project results, and so on. And the same thing with the bookmarks, except that you are saving them into your bookmark catalog. So bookmark is a way to save for you to check later, while the subscription is a proactive way to receive some information about specific items. And the saved searches I already mentioned. So all those features are only available if you are logged in using your EU login account. So for example, the saved search, I have saved one, and you see that I have this little drop-down menu. I have given a name to my search, and I can find all the results that I want every single time. And this is an example of the subscribe and bookmark buttons. So here, for example, I took one call at random, and those are the buttons that you will see on the top right-hand side. And this is also the occasion of talking about the F&T user profile, which is a feature which has been enabled already a few months ago. It allows you to be found as a person. So if people are using the partner search service, they can find not only your organization, but they can also find you. When I say that they can find you, this is because it's a functionality which is available for every portal user which has an EU login account, but this is disabled by default. And this is very important, because do not think that because you have an EU login account, your data is then displayed for the whole world to see. It's only if you go into the system and you decide to enable this functionality that people will be able to find you. So by default, you are not findable through the partner search. and you are completely in charge of what you want to display in terms of public information. So you can fill in your profile, and then you can decide, okay, I show this and this and this, and only this information will be visible to the portal users. And this is also the place where you can actually activate the personalized recommendations. So for example, if you are searching for some topics based on the projects that you have already taken part of in the past, then the portal can suggest some personalized recommendations. Just to show you how it works. So the F&T user profile is there. So for example, this is my profile with my professional account. And you can see here that on the side, there are those little eyes icon. What is grayed out will not be displayed. What is yellow will be displayed. So if you go and actually look for my name, you will only see my name, my gender, and my nationality, and that's it. And we can see that here we have a tab which is called Recommendation System, and you need to go there and say, I consent to receive personalized recommendations, then click Save, and next time that you will do a search, you will be recommended some search results on top of the others. This is also the occasion to talk about the partner search, which is a functionality which is available by default on the portal for funding opportunities. So you can either look for partners, generally speaking, so you just want to search some companies or for some specific persons, or you can look for partners in the context of a specific call, a specific funding opportunity. And again, I need to underline here that the search results that you will find are only based on publicly available data and the data that you explicitly choose to make available. So let's start in the context of a specific call. So you have searched for some calls for proposals, and we have here at some point in the left column, the partner search announcements. So this will take you lower on the page where you can actually see the partner search announcements which have been created for this specific call. So if you click on it, you will have a list of all the organizations that have posted an expertise offer or an expertise request. What is the difference? Expertise offer is an organization that is actually showing interest to join an existing consortium. So it's an individual initiative, while expertise request is more in the context of an existing consortium, which is still missing one partner specialized in one specific domain, for example. So this is the difference between the offer and the request, but they will be all visible here on this page. And then there's also the partner search, which is not linked to a specific calls for proposals. So it's under the tab funding. And if you go in partner search, it's a simple search where you will be able to find some persons and organizations. And whether you click through here the partner search or in the context of a specific call, if you click on an organization, this is what you will see. So this is data which is just taken from past participations in projects. So you see that, for example, here are all the programs that this company has taken part in the past. And again, I took a totally random organization. I don't want to make some advertisement or anything. You can test for yourself with your own company and see what pops up. But this is all public information. And finally, the projects and results. So I know that it may look strange that I'm talking already about projects and results if you have not applied yet, but actually this can be useful because you can take some information, some information from projects that have already been funded and see what the projects were made of, what were the contacts, what were the topics that were addressed, the solution provided, and so on. So you can find project results for all the EU-funded projects. So all the projects that have been using the e-grant solution, the projects will be visible there. And you can either go for all the different programs which are managed through the Funding and Tenders portal, or focus on the results and innovation support, which is Horizon Europe-centric. And under results and innovation support, you have different services. You have the booster, which is an initiative which is there to help you with the dissemination and exploitation activities, which is a service which is free of charge for all the Horizon Europe beneficiaries. You have the European IP help desk, for example, We have a matchmaking platform for beneficiaries to showcase their results, which is called the Horizon Results Platform. And we also have Cordis and Success Stories, which is about the database of all the EU-funded research projects since FP1. So you will really have a big wealth of information to dig into. And finally, if you are looking for stats, then we have the Horizon dashboard, where you can have a look at past proposals, past projects, all kinds of graphs and statistics. So just to show you where it is, here under project and results, we have the EU-funded projects. So this is for all the programs of the Funding and Tenders portal, while the results and innovation support offer the different services that I just mentioned. And we can have a look at a few of them. Like, for example, here I looked on the Horizon Results platform, and you can see that this is the page which has been created by the beneficiaries of the grant and which they are using to actually showcase the results of their project. So again, if you are considering applying for a specific proposal, you may go and see what has been done in the past, and that may give you some clues about what you should or should not do. This is about the Horizon Results dashboard. So, for example, here we see in terms of the eligible proposals that have been sent out, different programs. We see here the difference between Horizon 2020, FP7, and so on and so forth. I let you dig in detail so that you see what you find interesting, but you can also export those this information in case you need to reuse it in a presentation, for example. And finally, there's the newcomer in the funding EU funding universe, the EU Funding and Me app. So this is an app that has been launched. It was in the past autumn, if I'm not mistaken. And if I have to summarize it in one way, it will be a mobile-oriented light version of the Funding and Tenders portal. So you will find most, if not all, of the sections that you will find on the normal Funding and Tenders portal, except that it's re-adapted to mobile use with an emphasis on getting notifications and so on. So there are some actions that you cannot do on the mobile app, like, for example, if you want to submit a proposal or if you really want to manage a project. This is not all available, at least yet, because there are some functionalities that we want to keep adding to this app. If you want to download it, I have included both links to the App Store or Google Play. And I have also included the banner with the QR code, which you can also find on the homepage of the portal. So if you go on the portal, scroll down a little bit, you will see this QR code and you can download the app. And you can just download it. I mean, it's not, there's nothing mandatory. You don't need to register to anything. You don't need to pay for anything. You just use your e-login account, just like you would do for the Funding and Tenders portal. And then you can have the mobile experience of the Funding and Tenders portal. And this is the very last slide of my presentation. If you are lost, if you need help about anything when it comes to the Funding and Tenders portal, I know that especially for newcomers, it can be a bit overwhelming because there's a lot of information to take in at once. But hopefully, if you go in the manuals part, you have the online manual and the IT how-to wikis. So those are really wikis which are centered around business processes. You have first an overview of the whole life cycle of a project, and then you can drill down into the specific part that interests you and find really detailed guidance about the specific part that you are looking for. We also have all the reference documents, all the legal documents are published in one place. We have quite an extensive list of frequently asked questions as well, which you can browse. And in case you are stuck, we always have the IT help desk, which is there to help. And don't forget the support videos. Again, especially for newcomers, we have some really short videos that will explain the basic. It's really Funding 101, using the Funding and Tenders portal 101 in the form of YouTube videos. And that's it for my part. So thank you for your attention. And if I'm not mistaken, I think that we'll go for questions now.
Yes, exactly. Thank you, Olivier, for this comprehensive presentation of all the functionalities of the Funding and Tender portal and all the other online tools that the Commission the disposal of the potential applicants. So now it's time to questions. What if one have 3 profiles in the funding and tender portal, but only one national ID or mobile device? This is due to having changed 3 companies in the past 10 years.
Yes, so there are some limitations in the two-factor authentication. For example, I know that if you are using the EU Login mobile app, you can only use it with one EU Login account at a time. Now you can also change the way you are using the different two-factor authentication systems. For example, you can use the mobile app with one account and another way for another account. I know that, for example, there are some mobile devices which allow to install the same application twice. So you can actually use the EU mobile app with 2 different accounts. Generally speaking, it's better to try to have only one single profile. I would advise you to contact the help desk to see whether it's possible to actually merge everything together under one single account. That would be not only more convenient, but also more secure, because then you don't need to use different IDs, passwords, and two-factor authentications.
Yes, thank you. Next slide. Can we set up an FSCP scheme even if this is not explicitly mentioned in the call text? So the funding supporting third parties, the FSCP acronym means.
That's it. Also known as cascade funding calls.
Yes.
So no, this is something that has to be really enabled at the level of each call. So you need to find this article in your grant agreement. If it's not there, you're not allowed to use it.
Yes, and I would say also because this is as an impact also during the project, the setup of the program in Sigma, which is otherwise you need to mention all the FSTP applicants and beneficiary, and this is not possible if it's not been set up since the beginning, if I'm correct.
Yes.
Under which cost category shall we place the costs for travel grants for students and researchers?
Unfortunately, I'm more on the IT side of things.
Yes,
So,
I think this is more a question for later, but this is in other costs, other direct costs.
yes.
And what is the budget approach for partners from Japan? The funding should be included in the overall budget requested to the EU. Again, this is more for our financial colleagues that will come later. But Japan, as far as I know, and I hope people can correct later, but it can apply, but since it's not, unless it's not specifically written in the topic, is not related to, is not related to a budget. So I guess, but yeah, this will be confirmed later, I guess.
Yes.
So if we don't have any other questions, I think we can move to the next, I guess, to the next presentation.
Perfect. So my name is Davide Sirotti. I work for DG Connect on the call coordination and implementation of Horizon Europe. And today, together with my colleague Lison Rabouel, which would take the floor in a couple of minutes, we're going to explain the application process in Horizon Europe and provide you with an overview of the calls open in 2026 under Cluster 4. Firstly, as you can see from the slide, for 2026 under Cluster 4, we have 5 call opens, 2 under the pillar of industry, 2 under digital, and 1 under space, for a total spending of 815 millions divided into the 5 calls that you can see. As of the 5 calls, 4 calls are open already, and so they're open to submit application, and the space call will open on the 10th of March. As it was mentioned before, to keep track track of the open calls, we suggest you to go to the funding and tenders portals to keep track of all the opportunities of the different calls of the different programs. And within the funding and tenders portal, you can also find the guidance and document section, where you can find all the manuals and all the different guidance in relation to how to apply and how to submit your proposal. So we really suggest to go into this section and read the different documents, because we know it's a lot of information, but it's also very important to scan through it, because they are really very relevant information. What is really important to keep in mind is that all participants applying for Horizon Europe funding must register the organization in the participant register on the funding and tender portals in order to get the participant identification code, the so-called PIC. In order to do so, you can go and you can find all the instruction in relation to this procedure, which is again is a prerequisite in order to participate in the application for EU funding, in the guidance document and then online manual. By going there, you can see all the different steps to be performed and to be adopted in order to get your organization ready in order to obtain the so-called PIC. Another extremely important point is the eligibility criteria. So who is eligible to apply for Horizon Europe funding? As you can see from the slide, according to the Horizon Europe regulation, the eligible countries to apply are the countries from the EU, so the 27 member states, which includes also the outermost regions of the countries, the overseas countries and territories which are linked to the member states, and also, in addition, the non-EU countries, meaning the countries which are associated to Horizon Europe based on an association agreement. Also, we have the low and middle income countries, which are several countries, which I'm not going to go through them all here, but you can find in the funding and tender portals and also the link within the slide, the list of the definition of low and middle income countries eligible to apply in Horizon Europe. Additionally, if directly specified in the topic condition in the work program, other countries will be eligible to apply. In order to understand this, you need to go to the work program, to the topic condition, and see whether the name of the specific countries is explicitly mentioned over there. Because this is due especially to the fact that the participation of one specific country is necessary and essential for the topic in question. Finally, there are some specific eligibility criteria in relation, firstly, to affiliated entities. And the one eligible to apply are the ones that are established in the countries which are eligible for funding, so the ones that I already mentioned. In relation to EU bodies, they are eligible to apply. And then we need to go through the international organization, because in this case, we need to differentiate first international European research organization, which are in fact eligible for funding. Other international organizations, they are not eligible, apart from when exceptionally and explicitly defined in the work program, when their participation, of course, is essential. And international organizations in member states or associated countries are eligible to apply for funding only for training and mobility actions when they are announced directly in the call conditions. So I would again underline the fact that you should go through the topic condition within the work program in the funding and tenders portal to understand which specific countries are eligible. The Horizon Europe regulation in Article 22.5 and also the general annexes B to the work program, they contemplate restriction in the sense that to guarantee the protection of interests, assets, and autonomy and security of the Union, the Horizon Europe program may limit the participation to specific topic to specific entities established in member states and a few listed other countries which again, they're going to be listed in case the restriction apply directly in the topic condition. Additionally, the work program may also impose another type of restriction, which is may exclude the participation of entities established in the Union or in the associated countries, which are directly or indirectly controlled by a non-associated third countries or by legal entities non-associated or by legal entities of non-associated third countries. So we have two types of restriction. The first one is based on location. The second one is based on control, and we call this the restriction based on ownership and control. In this case, the ownership control assessment needs to be conducted in order to determine control. And in this case, I invite you to see and to check the declaration on ownership and control to understand the specific condition and the details of the ownership control restriction. Additionally, in relation to restriction based on controls, entities, after the control has been established, they can be allowed to participate pending a condition. And the condition consists in the fact that they need to submit a guarantees, which is issued by the eligible country of the establishment of the entity in question, which attests that their participation in the action would not negatively affect the union's strategic interest, assets, and autonomy or security. So what is again very important here to understand is that restrictions are mentioned and defined at the topic level. So to understand whether a topic is restricted to specific entities and to understand the specific type of restriction, you should consult the topic condition section of the Word program. Now I give the floor to my colleague Lison for the continuing of the presentation. Thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone. So my name is Lison Rabuel. I work together with Davide in DG Connect. I will now explain to you the detailed steps to create and submit your proposal in the Funding and Tenders portal. So you can see in this slide, so to create a proposal, you need to go to the specific topic page in the Funding and Tenders portal and click on Create a Proposal. You will be able to download the Part B template, which is a work document that you will later need to convert into PDF, and if any, the annexes needed for the specific topic. As it's written on this slide, you must choose the template provided in the submission system and only these templates. Do not use previous templates from previous calls, or they might be outdated. The proposals and their annexes, if any, must be submitted in the submission system. So no paper or email submission. And so in this submission system available in the Funding and Tenders portal. So in the next slide, I will show you how to add participants. So you can add participants in the project using the organization name or the PIC reference by clicking on the button displayed on the slide. So you should be aware that your topic may require a minimum number of participants. For instance, for research and innovation actions and innovation actions, the minimum consortium composition is at least 3 independent legal entities established either in a member state or an associated country. But we advise you to also consult the topic page or the work program in the specific conditions if there are any specificities for your topic. A message normally will be displayed in the submission system if you are missing any participant, but again, always cross-check and consult the topic conditions in the topic page or in the work program to make sure that it's aligned. So in the next slide, you can see a screenshot of part A of the proposal. So part A is the administrative part where you add information about your proposal, the participants, the budget, etc. The forms are to be filled directly in the submission system. And so it shows like this. One very important point is that only one contact per organization should make the changes to the proposal at a time in part A, because if you edit the form in different tabs or in different browsers in parallel, this will lead to data loss. So arrange between yourself in your consortium who is editing part A when, to make sure that you do not lose data. So there is also something important to note, which is that for lump sum topics, part A forms are slightly different. So first of all, there is an additional declaration in the general information tab that needs to be ticked. The budget table in part A is also shorter than for actual cost topics, with only the total requested grant per beneficiary as it's shown on the slide. And you will need to give details on the budget in a specific Excel file called detailed budget table. I will come back to this later. But this detailed budget table will need to be annexed to your Part B, and you will be able to download it in the submission system together with the Part B templates. Note also that this detailed budget table is not needed for first stage applications of two-stage calls. Then in Part A, you will also need to answer to questions regarding ethics and security. So you will need to go to the ethics issues table and security issues table and indicate which element concern your proposal by answering yes or no to the different questions. If you answer yes to any of these questions, you need to provide additional information in the designated box underneath this table. This is to help the granting authority to assess potential ethics and security issues in your proposal. And this will be done, this assessment will be done only for successful proposals and for ethics for successful and reserve list proposals. So once you are done, you will need to validate your Part A application, and you will see on your screen if some validation errors are displayed. You will need to correct them to be able to validate. And once this is all done, you validate again and you can click on save and you can exit. So then you go back to the general page of the submission system where you can upload your Part B and the annexes if any are required for your topic. So regarding the annexes, before I go a bit more in depth, I repeat that for the annexes, you will be able to download the templates for them directly in the submission system. So again, do not use all the templates. And these annexes do not count in the page limit in Part B because as you can see from the screenshot, they are uploaded separately in a different box. So now we can go through these different annexes. The first one being, one of the possible ones being the annex on information on security issues. This annex must be provided if the topic is flagged as security sensitive in the work program. This is the case, for instance, for some space topics. And this annex provides information about sensitive information, classified information, if specific security staff is needed, and if there should be any other project-specific security measures. To fill in this annex, do not delete any parts, but just mark NA if this is not relevant for your proposal. And this annex will be later on looked at by the Commission or the granting authority, and it may lead to a security scrutiny assessment by security experts. If your proposal is funded, this annex will be in any case modified and amended, but let's say that what you annex there in the submission system is a first draft. You also have you may also have to fill in an annex on declaration on ownership and control. So Davide explained this just earlier. This annex must be provided if the topic is flagged as restricted to entities based or controlled in certain countries. So if there are restrictions under Article 22.5 of the Horizon Europe regulation. This annex must be completed by all participants, and it's compiled by the coordinator and put in the submission system. If the proposal is selected for funding, this annex will be screened and the participants may be contacted to provide evidence and, if it's possible, provide guarantees from their country. One important thing is that this template has just changed in January 2026. So once again, make sure that you download the latest template from the submission system and do not use an old declaration on ownership and control template that you might have from previous calls. It's important on this to be on ownership and control to be transparent early, as the check of this ownership and control can be lengthy and might delay your grant signature if you don't take care of this on time. So be timely in filling this in. And in the next slide, so here you can see some information once everything is filled in and completed. You can upload your part B and your annexes in the submission system. So a couple of advice: check well your final document, make sure that the PDF has been converted correctly. Be aware that there are page limits for part B, and the excess pages will be removed from your application. In case of doubts regarding the page limit, you can consult the general annexes or the specific conditions in your topic. Then next slide. Once done, you can validate and submit your proposal. Here again, a couple of advice. Do it as early as possible. A couple of days before the deadline is always best. You can submit your proposal if you have submitted your proposal, you can update it and resubmit it at any time before the deadline. So do not hesitate to do it early. Before that, always perform a final check to make sure that the application meets all the core requirements. Note that if the consortium has been modified after editing part A, you will get the following message marked on the slide. And so if you want to check that everything is correct, you can click on Edit Form, review the participant section, and click on Save and Close. And then you click on Validate again. You can always check your proposal by clicking on Print Preview, and also make sure that you click well on Submit to submit the proposal. And in this last slide, so as I said, you can click on Update the proposal, and in the next slide, please. So here in this slide, you can see all the documents that you will need for your submission. So part A, part B, the different annexes foreseen in the topic condition, and the budget table for lump sum. And on this, I leave the floor again to Davide to finish the presentation.
Perfect. Thank you very much for your presentation. Now we're going to see some additional information. First off, in relation to the blind evaluation. So the call concerned in this case is the Call Horizon Cluster 4 2026-02 stage under the pillar of industry. Proposals in this case that are submitted under the blind evaluation pilot, they need to be anonymous. So the anonymity is an admissibility condition, because proposal must not contain any direct or indirect reference to the organization or person participation in the organization in any capacity. And so this is very important to bear in mind because the proposal will be declared inadmissible if its anonymity is not respected in the proposal abstract or part B of the application. So the information in relation to the identity of participants should be included only, and I remark only, in part A. This is a very important set of information in relation to the use of generative AI tools, because it's important to provide some guidances on how to use those tools for the application process. The guiding principle here is full transparency, in the sense that applicants must be fully transparent and declare the use of AI tools in their application, the way these tools have been used. And more specifically, it would be important you need to signal that you need to verify the accuracy of the content generated by the AI tools and correct in case of error and inconsistencies, which we know are frequent. You need to provide a list of sources, including AI tools used to generate content and citation, and double check the citations to ensure the accuracy of the reference you refer to. It's very important to be conscious about plagiarism when using AI tools, because AI tools tend to replicate and reproduce contents from other sources, so bear in mind the risks that AI tools entails. And you need to be aware of the limitation of AI tools, including the potential for bias, error, and gaps in knowledge. So you need to double check everything basically while using the AI tools. You need to go through the application and check these important points. We have now a couple of slides of sum up in relation to what we just said. And specifically, let's start for what you need to pay attention to, as Lison and myself mentioned before. You need to pay attention first on the eligible activities, which are described in the topic and the call conditions. So which activity is the topic looking for and look to fund? So this is very important. The consortium composition, of course, it's a very important set of information that you need to check before starting your applications. The restriction, as mentioned before, is very important to be checked, because you need to understand which entities from which states can apply. And on this, I would like to complement what I said before in relation to ownership and control restriction, because there is a new guidance available in the funder and tenders portal, which is in relation to the guidance on the participation on calls with ownership and control restrictions, so the type 2 restriction. And therein, within the guidance, you can download, there is the link to download the new ownership and control declaration file directly from the guidance. You need to include within your application also the important and relevant set of information in the right section. And on this, as Lison mentioned, you need to check the different parts of the application and make sure that everything you put in the different parts is correct. And you need to, I would suggest to go through the evaluation criteria, which are clearly indicated both in the work program and in the topic condition that are precisely described. Finally, again, we have another set of information which is very important, which is the do and the don'ts. And sorry, there is the slides are moving along. Okay, perfect. So the do and the don'ts. Here is a repetition of what I said before. So you need to go through the work programs carefully. Be aware of the topic updates within the funder and tender portals, and pay crucial attention to the topic and call conditions and all the information therein. And the don'ts, of course, is exactly the opposite. So don't include activities which are not eligible for funding. Focus exclusively on civil application. Don't forget to mark resubmission where relevant. And oh, the slides are moving again. In the case of a blind evaluation, this is very important. Do not disclose the applicant identity, because this is an admissibility criteria for the blind evaluation pilot. Finally, in case you have any question, it was mentioned before, there is a thorough FAQ section in the funding and tenders portal. But if you have any question during the application process, you can also submit your additional question in the RES, so the research inquiry system. And you can find the QR code directly in the slide. And if you scan it, this will bring you to the RES. And also via the funder and tenders portal, you can go to guidance document, the one that was mentioned before, help desk and support, and you can find the RES within the funder and tenders portal. So don't hesitate to ask questions, and don't hesitate to check the previous FAQs within the portal. That would be the end of our presentation. And now, if there is any question.
So yes, thank you, Davide, liaison. First question, the declaration of ownership control is also very hard to fill in for some organizations, for example, private university, and no guidance has been provided. Will this be provided in the future, and will there be a session for it?
I can take this one. I think I answered it in the second session of my presentation. So there is a new guidance now, following of course this complaint. There is a new guidance in the funder and tenders portal in which you can see the different steps and the different section of the functioning of the control restriction based on control, and you can also download therein the relevant documents. So the guidance has been updated recently in the funding and tenders portal.
Thank you, Davide. Next question is about the Japanese entities. So can you clarify if and how Japanese entities can be involved in Horizon calls?
Yeah, as mentioned before, you need to go through the work program annexes, the general annexes, in particular Annex B for the eligible countries, and specifically for the topic concerned, you need to go through the topic condition to understand whether Japan is eligible or not. So you need to read and go through the condition within the specific topic to understand whether Japan is eligible.
Yes, thank you. Next question is, in a previous info day, it was said that the, I guess, lump sum Excel would be replaced by a web form. Is it right? If so, will there be a way to include an Excel workbook to the web form, since it's good to link the Excel workbook to the project internal budget tools for consistency?
I can take this one maybe. So this will not be the case for all Horizon calls for now. So you will not be all concerned by these updates. Some of you will still have to do to upload the Excel form. You will see that in any case in the if it is in the Part B templates or not. And for what concerns your question on the integration in the system, on this I am not able to reply, but maybe we can inquire and reply to this question in the FAQ.
Yes, thank you, Lison. Yes, indeed, you can also find all the questions once ready in the FAQ section of the portal. If the call topic doesn't require any SSH, I think this is more for the next, the forthcoming speaker, because it's social and social science and humanities. I don't know if you have any, if you can, yeah. So maybe.
Yes, indeed, better to tackle this one later.
Yeah. So for which calls and topics are blind evaluation foreseen, and for all just selected ones?
On this, yeah, maybe I can take it. You will see. So it's going to be written in the topic conditions. For the moment, the blind evaluation is foreseen for some two-stage calls, but this is something that yes, you will see in the specific topic.
Yes, thank you. Question. So this is the consortium of 2 or more different countries getting extra points in evaluation? What is the percentage of contribution for companies from Czech Republic and Germany? This is, I guess, a specific topic, MathProd 01. I don't know if you have any information on this. Otherwise, we refer to the topic coordinator.
Yes, maybe it's better because we have not seen this
Okay.
this topic in detail.
So for two-stage calls, if a proposal is successful in the second stage, but the end user decided not to participate, the substitute should operate in the same field?
On this one, I don't know if you have an answer, Davide, but I would suggest to see also maybe to double check the answers to be sure we don't say something wrong.
Exactly, yeah, I agree.
Okay, what is expected to be done by an associated partner? I think this is more for our colleague later in the the legal and financial experts of Horizon. So the security annexes are sometimes hard to fill in. Can a link for okay, this is already the security annexes are sometimes hard to fill in. Can a link for guidance
Yes, this one I can answer. Yes,
Yes.
there is
Okay, can a link
actually.
get provided in the templates or a session made specifically for those annexes?
There is guidance available in the funding and tenders portal on security. You can find it in the guidance section of the funding and tenders portal in the Horizon section. It's a guide for applicants on how to fill in how to answer to proposals with security issues. So you can search for it and find it very easily. It's also usually put in the topic page of the security sensitive topics.
The question. After a consulting firm assists in forming a consortium and writing a proposal for Horizon Europe, is it possible to budget within the proposal to receive some initial and success fees from the consortium partners? I guess this is also a question for later for the legal and financial aspects of Horizon, because he is talking about budget. So maybe we can move to the next question, unless you have, any comments on this.
No, I think indeed we can leave it for the next section.
So the next question I see how to demonstrate in the interdisciplinarity section 1 excellence question in stage 1 proposals with the blind evaluation. Can we make a table of expertise but not partner names? What is the limit of this?
I can take this one too, maybe. So the limit for one stage a proposal is to not disclose any name nor acronym, but you can give indeed an indication of the expertise of the partners in your consortium, as long as you do not disclose the name and nor the acronyms of these partners.
Okay, thank you. How can I find out the minimum number of consortium partners for a proposal call that is not open yet? I can find this information on the particular call for proposal page on the funding and tender portal.
Exactly. You can find the topic in the topic condition, the different element of the topic you're interested about in relation to all the conditions of the consortium partners.
Okay. Is it better to use the funding and tenders portal to find calls or the final work program?
The funding and tender.
Yeah, I mean, it's better to use the funding and tender portal or let's say the full PDF.
So the funding and tenders portal, you can select, you can go through by programs, calls, and topics. So I think it's very user-friendly. Within the funding and tender portals, also you can recall the relevant documents of each program. So you can find also the work program for Horizon if you go in the Horizon page. So I think it's a mix of the two. The important thing I would suggest is to read thoroughly the different documents concerning the different programs or call and topic you are referring to when you would like to apply.
Okay. So another question about the two-stage call. Can a project partner that participated in a consortium which applied at the first stage and was unsuccessful submit an application together with another consortium that successfully passed the first stage under the same call?
So the importance for that is that the proposal stays the same between first stage and second stage. So it is possible to include additional entities, but the proposal needs to stay the same. I hope it answers to the question.
Yeah, I think so. So can a company be partner, no coordinator, in two project proposals in the same call with different roles and peoples?
Maybe on this we can ask the confirmation in the next section.
With the legal
exactly.
Okay. Okay, so I think we don't have any further questions. So I think we can stop here your presentation. So thanks a lot, David and Lison.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And so I would like to ask to Maria and Blanca to join us.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for inviting us. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Maria Carneiro. I work for the Central Validation Services in the validation planning team of the Research Executive Agency. I'm going to present quickly the process of legal validation and the appointment, and then I will hand over the floor to my colleague Blanca Bermejo to present the financial capacity assessment. Blanca, if you would like to introduce yourself briefly.
Yeah, thank you, Maria. My name is Blanca Bermejo, and I'm one of the financial validators that perform the financial capacity assessment, and I will explain this process in the second part of the presentation.
Thank you. Next slide, please.
Okay, maybe I will keep sharing my screen. Just a
Thank
second.
you.
I will share, and I will move to the next slide.
Thank you very much. So here we have the presentation outline. I will speak about the roles of the REA Central Validation Service. We will go through the registration of participants. We will talk about the legal validation and the legal entity appointed representative, the LEAR, to whom I like to call the King LEAR because this person has a lot of powers. Then Blanca will present the financial capacity assessment. We will talk about the communication with our services, and we will provide links to guidance documents. Next slide, please. So what do? We verify the legal existence and the legal status of entities participating in grant tenders procedures of the European Union. And why do we do this? To verify that the entities are who they claim they are, so that we can safeguard the financial interests of the European Union. We also validate the appointment of the legal entity appointed representatives, the LEARs, and this person, as we will see later in the presentation, is very important for us because he's the person who is liaising between our services and the legal entity. So we also validate the legal changes of already validated entities. So for instance, if during this process you change your legal name or you change your legal address, you inform our services via your LEAR, and we will proceed with those changes. We also assess the universal transfer of rights and obligations of validated entities. So once again, if during the process your entity merges with another entity, you inform us and we will reassess the file. We also encode bank account requests. We prepare the financial capacity assessment if needed, and we also perform the ownership control assessments for specific programs. And in addition, we also perform ex post status verifications. For instance, if your entity is validated as private and you do not agree with us, you deem that your entity is public, then you provide us additional supporting documents and we will reassess the file. Next slide, please. So here you have the overview of the validation process. And in fact, what is important to know is that all the organizations have to register in the participant register. From that moment onwards, you may start receiving requests for documents from the central validation services. And this validation process can occur simultaneously. So once we ask for documents for the legal validation, for the LEA appointment, and for the financial capacity assessment if needed. And all the communication is done via the participant register. Next slide, please. So here you have the interface of the participant register, and now we will see what you have to do to register your organization. Next slide, please. So here we have two scenarios. I assume that some of you are already registered, so you have already a PIC number, either declared or already validated, but some of you might have to start from scratch. So you will have to click on register your organization. Next slide, please. And in here, I always recommend that you have your registration extract and your VAT extract next to you, unless you have a very good memory and you know these numbers by heart. But it's very useful to have it as a backup. So in these fields, you will have to identify your organization. So you have to provide a legal name, VAT number, registration number, all the legal information, and you will also have to appoint the authorized users. So in this case, we call the person who is registering the PIC the self-registrant, and we always recommend that you name a backup. Because, for instance, if the person registering the PIC leaves the organization, you will lose contact with the central validation services. So it's always better to appoint also a backup in addition to the self-registrant. So once the registration is completed, you will receive the new participant identification code, so the famous PIC number, and this will appear in the participant registered in a declared status. Next slide, please. So we start now with the second part. So at this stage, we have already asked for documents, and we are going to proceed with the verification and validation of the legal data, LEA appointment, as well as financial capacity assessment, if needed. Next slide, please. So we verify the registration data always before the signature of the grant agreement or the tender contract. And this always on the basis of official supporting documents. The good news is that the legal validation of a participant is done only once. So you can always use the PIC number for other grant agreements or contracts in the future. So as I mentioned, the validation is always performed on the basis of supporting documents, and this following the EU financial regulation and also the rules on legal entity validation, LEA appointment, and financial capacity assessment. And here you can find the links to these documents, which I recommend that you briefly browse, as it helps for the registration and validation of your organization. Next slide, please. So the legal validation documents that we require, we ask for the VAT extract or the proof of VAT exemption, and these documents have to be cannot be older than 1 year. Also, we ask for private law bodies the registration extract, also not older than 1 year. For public law bodies, we ask for the law, the decree, or the decision creating the body. For international organizations, we ask for the treaty creating the organization. And for non-profit organizations, we also ask for the statutes. Next slide, please. So we reach now the LEAR appointment. And what is important to say here is that to have a validated PIC is not sufficient. You have to have also a validated LEAR. The LEAR appointment is mandatory for all the validated participants. So keep this in mind, please. Next slide, please. So here we have the LEAR roles and duties. And as I said, this is a person who is very important for us because it's the intermediary between our services and the legal entity. So this is the person who is going to notify our services if there are changes in the legal date or in the legal status. This is the person who is going to submit the legal and financial documents when required. And is the person who also manages access rights of the persons in the organization, and also appoints account administrators and individuals who can sign contracts, grant agreements, and their respective amendments, and also financial statements. Next slide, please. So which are the documents we require for the LEAR appointment? We request the LEAR appointment letter, which is automatically generated by the system in the participant register. And the letter has to be duly signed by both the legal representative and the LEAR, and also duly dated. We also ask for official proof of identity, so a copy of an ID card or of a passport with photo and the signature of both legal representative and the LEAR, and also the proof of empowerment of the legal representative. Next slide, please. So here it's also very important to mention that all the communication with us is exclusively managed through the participant register. Here we always recommend also that you go to the participant register if you receive a notification via email. And why? Because if you open our messages in your email address or on your phone, you will not see the message in its integrity. So please, if you are notified via email by our services, go to the participant register and check so that you ensure you can see the message in its integrity. Next slide, please. So if you lose access to a declared or a valid PIC, it's not a problem. So this will happen if you did not follow our recommendations from the first slide of naming a backup. So if you have a PIC in a declared status, and in case the self-registrant has left the organization and no one else can access the PIC, then you will have to register a new PIC. You inform our services and we will link both PICs, so the old PIC becomes obsolete and you can start working with a new one. If you have a PIC already validated, and if the LEAR is not available anymore, no account administrators, no backup, then a new LEAR needs to be appointed. And for this, you will need to activate the LEAR recovery procedure in the participant register, and you can find the link in this slide. Next slide, please. And I think this is the moment where I hand over to Blanca for the financial capacity assessment.
Okay, thank you, Maria. And next slide, please. So I will introduce to you in the next few minutes the financial capacity assessment process. And I will start by listing our legal basis. So we are showing you here 3 documents. The first document is the financial regulation, especially related to the financial capacity assessment and why it has to be assessed. We have 2 articles, Article 199 and 201, and they expressly said that the applicants must demonstrate that they have stable and sufficient financial resources to carry out the proposed action. The second document that I'm showing here is the rules on legal entity validation, legal appointment, and financial capacity assessment for EU grants and tenders. This is our internal guidance document that we use in the Central Validation Service to validate all this process. And the third document is the specific call for proposals of or your action. So the 3 documents are important, but we always recommend the participants to carefully read the second and the third because they have important information about the documents and the process and explain the process of the financial capacity assessment. Next slide, please. Okay, so when the financial capacity assessment or FCA is needed, so we need it for coordinators if the requested grant amount is equal or greater than 500,000 euros. But we have some exceptions. The first exception is public bodies, and this includes local, regional, or national authorities, international organizations, and also for individual grant requests of less than 60,000 euros, which is called a low value grant, and also may be requested for other beneficiaries of affiliated entities. So in case the FCA must be done, you will be contacted by the Central Validation Service via the participant register. And I will show you in a couple of slides how it will appear. Next, please. So these are the supporting documents that we usually request to perform the financial capacity assessment. Next, please. There is a little animation. Okay, thank you. So the documents are the balance sheet, the profit and loss accounts, the explanatory notes or annexes if they are available. And in some cases, we also ask for a financial audit report if the grant amount exceeds these thresholds that we can see here for action grants or operating grants. If these thresholds are not exceeded, we don't need the financial audit report. Okay, so we need this set of documents for the 2 most recent closed and approved financial years. And we need the documents in its official language, if it's a new language, along with a translation in English, if it's not a new language. And we also need them dated and signed. Next, please. Okay, so once we have the financial capacity assessment completed, this is valid for 18 months from the closing date of the documents. That means that if we perform the assessment, all the participation, the calls that you participate in the next 18 months, you don't need to submit documents again. Okay, next, please. So this is the view in the Funding and Tenders portal in the participant register. Once you have created your PIC account, if the financial capacity assessment is required, it will appear a red flag close to the financial capacity tab. And also you will have this button with provide necessary financial documents, financial information light up. Next, please. And also there is a message tab, and in this message section, you will see all the messages with the request of information. So if you receive these messages, you open and there will be a long explanation about the documents that are needed for us to perform the assessment. Next, please. Okay, so and we show you here, we leave here a few guidance documents. Some of them they were mentioned before. The first one, the rules on legal validation, I mentioned before, and the other, we think that could be useful for you in order to register and perform these assessments. Next. So this is the end of the presentation, and thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you.
Thank you, Blanca. I see there is a question for you in the Slido.
Okay, the first question. In the financial capacity assessment, is always requested for each new grant funded or only for the first time?
So we perform the financial capacity assessment one, and it can be used for every grant in the next 18 months when the financial capacity assessment is valid. Once it's outdated, we need to perform it again if the participant apply for a new grant. But since we perform it once and it's valid for 18 months.
Thank you. Other question is still about the financial capacity assessment. Coordinator more than 500,000 euro. Is this the amount for the coordinator only or the entire project funding?
I think it's for the entire project funding. That's the threshold of the 500,000.
Thank you. Thank you, Bianca and Maria. I think we can move forward then now to the legal and financial aspects of Horizon Europe. And I will ask to Ramona and Anne-Catherine to join us on the floor.
Yes, good afternoon. Thank you very much, Elena. Good afternoon, everyone. So we'd like to bring to your attention a few legal and financial aspects that are important in grant management. So next slide, please. Thank you. First of all, the role of the coordinator. The coordinator is, of course, responsible for managing the project, which means submitting reports, deliverables, etc., but also acting as an intermediary for all the contacts with the EU granting authority. So this means all communication should, in principle, go through the coordinator. I have another important point on business continuity and also for traceability is that all this communication with the EC officers should be done via the communication tool in the funding and tenders portal. Please try not to use emails. It's important for business continuity to have it. And you see down here the screenshot of what it looks like in the portal is quite easy to use. You can upload documents, etc. So it's important to keep that in mind. Next, please. Regarding the consortium agreement, it's a private agreement between the beneficiaries, which sets out the rights and obligations among themselves, which allows them to smoothly implement the project. So this agreement should be signed before the signature of the grant agreement, and it should complement the grant agreement. It must not contain any provision contrary to it. So some of the legal issues that it should address, it's not an exhaustive list, but it's how to decide on the internal organization, ways of working, voting rules, etc. Project implementation, who's doing what, project budget, importantly, how to distribute the EU funding. Will you distribute the pre-financing in one go or in installments, etc.? Intellectual property rights rules as well, confidentiality rules, liabilities, warranties, penalties, etc. So these are some of the issues that should be addressed in the consortium agreement. Now, the consortium agreement is important, but so is the grant agreement, especially because the consortium agreement should not contain any provision contrary to the grant agreement. So make sure you're familiar with the provisions of the grant agreement. There's a very good support document, which is the annotated grant agreement, which explains more in details the situations, give lots of examples on situations that you may encounter during your project. So be sure to consult it and refer to it frequently. Next one, please. Let's go into more financial details here, which are the cost categories that we have in the model grant agreement. This is going to be the same structure that you'll see in Annex 2, which is the budget in your proposal or in your grant agreement. So we have 5 categories: personal costs, which include employee costs, natural persons under a direct contract, persons that are seconded by a third party, and SME owners and natural person beneficiaries. So these are 4 categories within the personal cost category. Then we have subcontracting costs, purchase costs, which include travel and subsistence, equipment, other goods, works, and services. So please remember these 2 categories because I'll talk about them later, a little bit later on. So we have another category, which is other cost categories, which includes financial support to third parties, internally invoiced goods and services, and some other specific categories based on the type of program. And then the last one are the indirect costs, which is the 25% flat rate, which is applied on all the other costs except the subcontracting cost and the financial support to third parties. There's one thing I also want to take this opportunity here to pinpoint is that the budget that you have from your proposal and in your grant agreement, the individual amounts in there are estimates of the cost that you think you will need to implement the project. When you come to the reporting time, make sure you claim all the costs that you have incurred during the reporting period, even if they are higher than what was in the budget that you planned. This might be beneficial to you later on in case of recoveries or in case of underspending by some beneficiaries. So remember to claim everything that you have incurred, even if it's higher than what was in the budget. So next slide, please. Okay, we have different type of third parties. By third party, we mean entities other than the beneficiaries who are involved in the actions. The first one is the affiliated entities. They perform action tasks, which are described in the grant agreement. They are not beneficiaries, but in practice almost treated as such in the sense that they claim their own costs. They have to submit a CFS if they're under the conditions too, so they have their own CFS. They contribute to the report, etc. But the beneficiary remains responsible for the work that they do and for the recovery of any undue payment. So this is a main difference. Another third party is the associated partners. This is a category for participants that are not eligible for EU funding, but who want to participate to the project at their own cost. We can also have, as part of this type of third party, we can have countries that are eligible for funding, but decide not to request any. So basically they request 0 funding, either they participate as associated partner or they participate as beneficiary, declaring 0 funding. We also have third parties giving in-kind contributions to the action, and we can have subcontractors that carry out action tasks. Only a part of the action can be subcontracting. So these 2 types of third parties, I'll come back in more details in the next slides. But make sure, again, I refer you to the model grant agreement to make sure that you understand which third party fits into which category. So the in-kind contributions provided by third parties, they can be against payment or free of charge. Both types are eligible under Horizon Europe. There's a few differences. The in-kind contributions against payment are claimed by the beneficiary in its own as its own costs. For instance, under the relevant category, for instance, if the in-kind contribution is provided in the form of seconded personnel, then it will be declared as personnel cost. If it's access to a lab, then it will be declared as equipment cost. So this is how it will be declared. These contributions do not need to be described in the grant agreement. Whereas the in-kind contributions that are provided free of charge, They are mentioned in a provision of the grant agreement, and which says that they should be described in the grant agreement annex, both the type of task or the type of contribution that will be provided and an estimated amount. They will be declared by the beneficiary, again, under the relevant category, depending on the type of contribution, as personal cost, if seconded personnel, etc. And here, it's important to know that only direct cost must be reported, because we have indirect costs that will be calculated on top of those. So yes, I think that's it for this one. Next, please. Now, subcontracting cost is the other type of third party that is sometimes confusing. So this covers service contracts for parts of the project that will be implemented by a subcontractor and not by the beneficiary itself. So I'm going to compare this with other type of third parties. I'm going to start with the table on the right. So making the difference between subcontracts and purchases. This is exactly the two columns of the cost category that I mentioned earlier, subcontracting cost and purchase cost. So the subcontract, as I just said, it concerns the implementation of part of the project task that is done by the subcontractor instead of by the beneficiary. Whereas purchases, that concerns travel, equipment, or other goods or other services that are necessary for the implementation of the work. This may be buying consumables or equipment or cost for software license, etc. So it's quite different in nature from the subcontract. And in terms of declaring them or claiming them in the financial statement, obviously they will be claimed under their own type of cost, subcontract as subcontracting cost, and purchase as the relevant category of purchase cost. So now I'm going to the table on the left and comparing, comparing these two subcontracts and purchases with affiliated entities. It's a bit heavy. It looks heavy, but it's not. Subcontracts and purchases, there is a contractual link with the subcontractor or the supplier, whereas for the affiliated entity, the link is a more permanent legal link, which goes beyond the project. So it's a different type of link between those third parties and the beneficiary. And in terms of eligible cost for subcontracts and purchases, the eligible cost is a price charged to the beneficiary, which will include a profit margin for the subcontractor or the contractor, not for the beneficiary. So this will include a profit margin, whereas the eligible cost for affiliated entities, there is no profit allowed, nor for the beneficiary, nor for the affiliated entity. That's another big difference. And last but not least, for subcontracts and purchases, the beneficiary must award them based on best value for money or lowest price and the absence of conflict of interest. So that is something important to remember. Next slide, please. Concerning the timing of payments, usually you will have one pre-financing and one or more payments, interim and payment of the balance. So the pre-financing will be paid within 30 days from the entry into force of the grant agreement, or from 10 days before the start date, whichever is the latest. So this will cover the example of a start date 3 months after the signature of the grant, let's say, and then you will receive the pre-financing from 10 days before this 3-month start date. So remember also that from the pre-financing, there will be a retention of 5% of the maximum grant amount, which goes as a contribution to the mutual insurance mechanism. Then you might, or you probably will have interim payments. This depends on the program and maybe also on the duration of the project. So interim payments will be paid within 90 days from the reception of the periodic report. And the periodic report, you have 60 days to submit it as of the end of the reporting period. The contribution you will receive, so the payment, will be based on what is claimed in the financial statement. So It will be based on the eligible cost that we have approved times the reimbursement rate. This will be the payment. Be mindful that there's a ceiling of 90% of the maximum grant amount for the payment in all interim payments. This means we keep 10% of the maximum grant amount for the final payment. So we come to the final payment, the payment of the balance. It's paid also within 90 days from the reception of the final report, which you have 60 days to submit following the end of the reporting period. This is also the time when beneficiaries need to submit their CFS if their level of EU contribution is equal or above 430,000 euros and 725,000 euros if they have a systems and process audit. Next slide, please. Okay, let's discuss a little bit about amendments. We have a budget flexibility clause in Article 5.5 of the grant agreement. This means that budget transfers and budget reallocations between beneficiaries, between affiliated entities, and between budget categories do not need an amendment. So you can shift those amounts without an amendment. However, if you want to add another subcontracting that was not planned in the grant agreement, you can do it, you can add it either via an amendment, or you can just declare it and justify it via the simplified approval procedure at the time of reporting. And then at the time of reporting, we will assess it. So for other changes of certain specific cost categories, you might need an amendment or not, or simplified approval procedure. That depends on the type of cost. So just refer to the grant agreement for those other. And remember that if any change implies a significant change in tasks, you will always need an amendment. So if typically if you remove a task, add a task, or transfer a task from one beneficiary to another, you will need an amendment. On the contrary, if you just want to shift equipment cost to personal cost for the same beneficiary or for another one, but without shift or changes in the task, then you don't need an amendment. So this is basically how it works. Next slide, please. Yes, lump sum funding. I want to explain a little bit more about this. So in the proposal, the applicants then define and justify the lump sum amount that they request and that it's necessary to carry out the project. These are cost estimations that must be an approximation of their actual cost. This means that they are subject to the same eligibility rules as in actual cost grants. For instance, they will be incurred during the project duration, etc. They're linked to the project, etc. They must be in line with normal practices. They must be reasonable and non-excessive, and they must be in line with and necessary for the proposed activities. These cost estimations are then used to generate a breakdown of lump sum shares per work package and per participant. This is what you'll see in your Annex 2 in your budget. You'll have the lump sum shares per work package and broken down by beneficiary also for each work package. So in lump sums, the way it works is that payments depend on the completion of work packages at each reporting period. So as you have one lump sum share per work package, when this work package is completed by a reporting period, it triggers the payment for that lump sum share for that work package. So this is the way it works. So it's important to remember that payments do not depend on a successful outcome, but on the completion of activities. Also, work package that have a long duration, typically a management work package that for its duration goes throughout the whole project. They can be split along the reporting period so that you will have payment for the relevant activities of that reporting period every time, and not one big payment at the end of one big long work package. It's better to split them among reporting periods if it makes sense operationally, and if it fits the needs maybe for cash flow of the consortium. So that's something to think about when you write your proposal. And also work packages can be modified through an amendment, like, yes, like we can modify many things with an amendment. So big principle, there is no obligation to report on actual costs in lump sum funding, and there are no financial audits. Next slide, please. How does it work with amendments in lump sum grants then? In lump sum grants, the budget flexibility is so that the consortium is free to spend the lump sum as it sees fit, provided, of course, that the project is implemented as it was described in the grant agreement. But still, in case, because of changes that may happen during the project, if there are substantial differences to the real implementation, it may be in the interest of the consortium to formalize these changes to the budget via an amendment. So to actually formalize it in Annex 2 of the grant agreement. And for this, you need an amendment. So for this, we're talking about transfers within the same work package, so from one beneficiary to another, or transfers between work packages. So for this, you would do an amendment to change that in Annex 2. What you cannot do is transfer from or to a work package that's already been completed and paid in a previous reporting period. This is not allowed. Finally, also, I just want to point out that deviations from the work plan that happened maybe again throughout the project can be also flagged in the periodic report. So it's via simplified procedure. I think with this, I'm done. I think this was yes. Thank you very much for your attention, and we're ready to take your questions if you have any.
Yes, thank you, Anne-Catherine. So first question, can there be audits in lump sum projects?
Not a financial audit, but you can have a technical audit to make sure that the work has been done the way it was planned, etc. But no financial audit, but yes, technical audit.
Thank you. Next question. It was mentioned that budget shift between beneficiaries is possible without amendments. I assume this is only for grant-based budgets and not for lump sum budgets.
Well, you could do without an amendment in both types of grants. The fact is, again, you may want to keep your budget. You may want to keep the budget of your project closely in line with what happened in reality in a lump sum budget. So you may want to do an amendment so that it's implemented in the budget. This yes, this might be important. For instance, later on, if there's a grant reduction or other things that happen, it's good to keep as close to reality which partner is implementing which task, but with how much budget, I think. So it may be important to just keep the reality close to what you have in Annex 2, but that's really for you to decide.
Thank you. Next question. After a consulting firm assists in forming a consortium and writing a proposal for Horizon Europe, is it possible to budget within the proposal to receive some initial and success fees from the consortium partners?
That's going to be a no. The costs for preparing the proposal are not eligible costs in the grant agreement. One of the eligibility conditions of the cost is that it should be incurred during the duration of the project, which is from the start date to the end date. So costs that have been incurred before the start date, typically to prepare the proposal, are not eligible.
Thank you. how to foresee the number of reporting period in a project at the proposal preparation stage. It influences the pre-financing sum, which is crucial for the lump sum grants, particularly for the work package structure.
Well, typically reporting periods are of 18 months. It also varies a little bit on the duration of the project. If you have a 24 months duration project, it might be just one reporting period. If you have a very long one, you can have more. It also depends whether you might go for 18, 18, 12, and so on. Of course, it influences the pre-financing, but the pre-financing rates are quite high usually, and so we try to stick to those period times.
Okay, another question. Under which cost category shall we place the cost for travel grants for students and researchers?
I think in travel, I'm sorry, students and researchers, if they're considered as personnel of the beneficiary, then they will be under travel costs, yes.
Okay. Question is, what happens when associated partners do not deliver what was promised? Must the other project partners deliver then?
Well, the consortium has a technical responsibility towards the implementation of the grant. So if one partner does not deliver, the whole consortium is responsible for the technical implementation of the work.
Okay. And another question. If a project coordinator relocates its legal seat and official bank account to another country during an ongoing project, what is the procedure? Does it require the assignment of a new PIC? If new PIC is assigned, will the entity's historical data and project records be retained under the new code?
Legal seat and official bank account. So I assume only the bank information is changing. It's not the coordinator's legal entity, it's only the bank entity, if I understand well the question. It just requires the validation of this new bank account with REA. I think the new
I can
PIC
step in a little bit if you want, Catherine. So basically, this can be a question that can go both ways. It can be a question that can be addressed to the colleagues in REA Validation Service in the sense that maybe the changes that affect the entity are more complex, and then it requires an analysis in terms of what has happened with this legal entity. If it's just a change of seat, there will be a change of legal data, but the participant is still required to submit all this information to the validation services, which will assess the nature of the change, and then this will be implemented via various types of amendments, being a universal transfer or being just an update of the data or an amendment if you need to change the bank account to a new one. So it can vary in complexity depending on the actual changes.
Thank you, Ramona, for the additional explanations. Under which concrete budget line the freelance job can be placed? There is an information that it could be placed in other good services category, but none of the costs in the category doesn't fit well.
Again, this is a sometimes a little bit of a case by case thing, but you can have if I read freelance job as an internal consultant, for instance, this could be part of the personal cost. Otherwise, if it's not, then it could be, yes, in other goods and services. It depends a little bit on the conditions under which that person is performing its task with the beneficiary. So for instance, this I really recommend to read the annotated grant agreement, because there's quite a few details on how they should be categorized.
Thank you. And another question, what is the difference between third party and subcontractor? I think you already assessed this, but maybe another comment on this question.
Well, a subcontractor is a type of third party in the sense that it's a third party, another entity than a beneficiary, which is performing a part of the action task, which we call action task, which are the tasks that are described in the project. So the subcontractor is one type of third party and doing that. And the subcontractor implements part of the task. So it's not just providing a service on the side, like providing, again, a software license, but it's implementing part of the action. So yes, I don't know, Ramona, if you have more a clear explanation to give, but.
Thank you. Another similar question. Can you elaborate again on the difference between the two types of in-kind contribution, for example, against payment and free of charge, and they're mentioned in the grant agreement?
So when we mean against payment and free of charge, it's literally whether the third party that is providing persons or a service, etc., do they do it against payment or do they do it free of charge in the sense that they don't ask for payment against this. So this is the difference, is whether the contributor wants to be paid or not for the contribution. And so for us, the one that we mentioned, that is mentioned in the grant agreement, is the contribution for free. And this one should be detailed. There's a specific cost table in the grant agreement that you should fill with the details on what is going to be contributed, etc. And this is this is also going to be claimed at reporting period as in-kind contribution from third party, whereas in-kind contribution for payment is just part of the personal cost, and that's it. We don't see any information about it. It's not claimed differently than the personal cost at reporting, than the beneficiary's cost, sorry, at reporting time. So it's really as part of the personal cost, whereas the one for free, you know, it's more evident for us, and it's considered as in-kind contribution. So it's reported separately and as such.
Thank you. One last question, cost categories. Where to put travel grants for external students and researchers? I mean, which kind of categories do we allocate travel grants for external students?
By external, I would think if they intervene as some sort of experts or then in this case, they could still be declared as travel cost of the beneficiary that that uses them. I don't want to use this word, but I can't find a better one now. So yes, this is my answer. I'm not very clear on the case, but that would still be my answer.
Okay, thank you. I think that there are no more questions. So thank you, Catherine. Thank you, Ramona. And I think now we can move on to the next presentation about the social and humanities. Kimberly will present for us. So the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. So hello, everybody. My name is Dr. Kimberly Koofsen-Liebe, and I'm from Net for Society, which is the international network of Cluster 2, Culture, Creativity, and Inclusive Society national contact points in Horizon Europe. And with my presentation today, I'd like to explain to you a bit about SSH integration in Horizon Europe, what it is, why it's important in the context of EU research, and how you can identify it in open and upcoming calls in Cluster 4, as well as in other calls in Horizon Europe. Next slide, please. So I'd like to begin with a brief definition of the term because it may not be particularly clear what is meant when we talk about SSH integration. So first and foremost, SSH integration is a technical term of the European Commission, and it is used specifically to refer to the doing of inter and transdisciplinary research. Additionally, SSH integration refers to a specific type of research collaboration, and that is a research collaboration. Oh, that's too fast. Can you go back, please? Thank you. That's made up of consortia of researchers coming from the social science, so disciplines within the social sciences and humanities, as well as researchers coming from disciplines within the science, technology, engineering, and mathematic fields. Next slide, please. So this interpretation is one that actually comes directly from the European Commission, and its importance is actually well defined in the foundational texts related to Horizon Europe. As you can see here, within the Horizon Europe regulation, there's a specific mention of, can you go back, please? Thank you. Specific mention of the need for a multidisciplinary research approach to be taken in order to address these very complex problems facing European society. And this is reiterated also in the second strategic research, or I should say the strategic plan related to Horizon Europe. Next slide, please. Okay, so why SSH STEM collaboration? Well, I already gave a little bit of a hint as to why, but the reason that the Commission really promotes the need for these types of research collaborations has to do with the fact that the involvement of social science and humanities expertise in what are first and foremost technologically oriented research projects can really help to lead to solutions and ways of understanding and thinking about very complex problems that the EU needs to understand better. And furthermore, these types of collaborations help to create specific types of conditions where, number one, issues that, thank you, that would be like sociological and technological issues would both be looked at in the context of a technologically oriented research project, so much more comprehensively, in particular the sociological aspects. Secondly, SSH STEM collaboration allows for more critical assessment of what would be necessary in order for there to be a better fit or a more positive perspective being placed on services or tools or whatever product might be the end result of research funded under technologically oriented topics. And then third, it also leads to the opportunity for services, innovations, you name it, to be more adequately designed so that it fits not only user needs better, but maybe fits into the way people understand their world and what's necessary for trust or something like that. Next slide, please. So although SSH integration, this concept, is found throughout Horizon Europe as a whole, it is primarily a component of research that is funded in Pillar 2 of the Horizon Europe program. It is found in the research of all 6 thematic clusters. It's also part of the missions and also part of the New European Bauhaus Initiative. Next slide, please. So I already mentioned a little bit about why the need for SSH STEM collaboration, but another reason why it is beneficial to incorporate the research perspectives and expertise coming from disciplines within the social science and technology is because this expertise can help to identify emerging trends and attitudes. It can also help, as I mentioned, to understand conditions which are necessary to understand in order to improve the way in which products, goods, services, innovations, solutions are better received by society or received in the first place are even plausible. And then it's also really important because they can help to interpret conditions on the ground that may not be clear if only a technological approach is taken. Additionally, SSH-STEM research collaborations are really important because by bringing different types of disciplinary perspectives together, that can really help to open up and generate new types of knowledge through avenues of critical questioning. It can also lead to unique and original knowledge and ways of thinking, and also can even open up new ways of seeing things. Next slide, please. Here, I just wanted to give you an idea of what sort of questions or what sort of benefit one could say that the social sciences humanities can bring to a project that is maybe more technologically or technically oriented. You can see here that it's focused on many different dimensions. I won't name them, but I'll give you an opportunity to just see what they could be. Next slide, please. So, as I mentioned, this sort of research is a component of the research in all the thematic research clusters and the missions, as well as in the UPR Bauhaus and initiative. And these aspects take many different forms as listed here. Next slide, please. So the Commission specifically signals for the need for SSH integration through the use of this particular sentence. It can vary slightly in its wording, but by and large, this is the form that it would take. The sentence is used in topics that have been what are known as SSH flagged, and flagging is simply the main instrument used by the European Commission in order to indicate the requirement or the need for the involvement of social sciences and humanities expertise. And as mentioned, this is found in all clusters, missions, and in the new European Bauhaus. Next. So in the context of Cluster 4 and in the current work program, there are 4 topics which have been SSH flagged. In 2026, there's one topic, and that is enhancing industry academia knowledge exchange in social sciences and humanities. Whereas in 2027, there will be 3, which are listed here: advanced and innovative hardware components for virtual worlds, create a thriving and competitive virtual worlds and Web 4.0 ecosystem, and facilitate the engagement of European stakeholders in international digital standardization. Next slide, please. So before I finish with explaining SSH integration, I just wanted to give you a brief summary of the main takeaways associated with what you need to know when you encounter the requirement of involving social sciences and humanities research in your project. First and foremost, the reason why is because the Commission has recognized a need for a more human-centric focus in all research areas, not just those related to the social sciences and humanities. As I mentioned, SSH integration is really designed to help come up with better assessments and better ways of addressing very complex sociological challenges, climate change, digital transition. It's also because the Commission has recognized that a technological solution or that technological solutions are simply not enough to deal with the multifaceted nature of these problems. Monodisciplinary approaches are just not going to work. As also mentioned, SSH-STEM collaboration is important because it can help to clarify what would be the relevance of the outputs of many technologically oriented research projects for society more broadly. It has to do with improving the impact of the research that is funded by the project, by the program, and allowing for more social and citizen-based involvement in the actual research procedures. What's really important to understand is when required to work with researchers coming from the social sciences and humanities is to understand that they are not an add-on, that they are equal partners in the research endeavor. They should be seen and held to the same requirements and seen at on the equal footing with the researchers coming from the STEM disciplines. It's important to make sure that their insights are incorporated from the very beginning of the development of a project's research agenda and its design, its objectives, and the questions that are going to be pursued. Next slide, please. So before I finish, I just wanted to give you a heads up of some really useful tools and tips which could support you in your efforts of building these sort of research collaborations. Net for Society regularly produces what is a very useful tool, which is known as the Opportunities for Researchers from the Social, Economic, Sciences, and Humanities in Horizon Europe, or SSH Opportunities document for short. I'm explaining it to you today because this document provides an overview of all SSH flag topics in the Horizon Europe work program, not only so, and it's published whenever a new work program comes out. It is good because it goes beyond what is listed in the funding and tenders portal by the Commission, but first and foremost, it provides a clear emphasis on the SSH aspects of the research related to a specific SSH flag topic. We provide keywords to help give you an idea of what sort of expertise would be really helpful in meeting the expected outcomes of the research. Currently, this slide is a little bit old. I apologize because this presentation was produced before this happened, but the current version of the SSH Opportunities document is now available, and you can download it from the Net for Society website. When you receive the slides, you can just use this web address in order to access it. Next slide, please. So if you so intend to ultimately apply to a topic or to submit a proposal for a topic that has been SSH flagged, we have come up with with some really practical tips to help you sort of navigate this process. It really kind of follows three key stages. To begin, we always emphasize the importance of sitting down and reading the topic very, very carefully in order to understand what's being asked for. In this particular instance, you could maybe reference the SSH Opportunities document in order to help you kind of understand in case it's not clear from the get-go. And then via this close reading, you can gain a better understanding of maybe what is the sort of expertise that you need in order to build up the SSH expertise in your consortium. And then from there, you can then think about, okay, building your consortia, where do you find your partners? Well, we often say you can start within your own networks, you can start within your own universities, your own organizations, because often if you have, say, an EU grant office, they should be aware of maybe who within the social sciences and humanities are doing work that might be a good fit for your needs. But if that leads to a dead end, you are, of course, always welcome to reach out to your national contact points. You can start with the national contact points for cluster 4 in your country. However, you can also reach out to the national contact points in cluster 2, who would be able to help you maybe better understand what is being asked for in the call topic. You can, of course, take part in brokerage events as another way of identifying partners. Net for Society is another great place in order to do that, as we offer a community platform where you can sign up, add your profile, and look for partners coming from the social sciences and humanities. And then finally, when you finally get to the stage where you are about to write your proposal, then you need to be very aware of what is required in terms of SSH integration in the proposal itself. So be aware that SSH aspects must be reflected in all three parts and all three criteria of proposals, that the partners must be an active and relevant part of the consortium. As I said, they're not add-ons. They should have important relevant roles, either as say work package leaders or task leaders, maybe even co-coordinators. And you need to make sure that there's significant budget person months being assigned to these activities, to these participants, so that the research that they are responsible for can in fact be correctly carried out. Next slide, please. And with this final slide, I just wanted to alert you to a very helpful categorization of the disciplines coming from the social sciences and humanities. This slide is adapted from a list that is included in the current Horizon Europe program guide. It is not overly exhaustive, but it does provide a very good idea of the sort of disciplines coming from these areas, these research areas that the Commission takes in consideration when they are thinking of what constitutes social sciences and humanities. Next slide. I'm now at the end of my presentation. Thank you very much for your attention, and I wish you the best of luck with your proposals, and I'm happy to take any questions you may have.
Thank you, Kimberly. Some question for you. If the call topic doesn't require any SSH involvement, should it be included anyways?
It can be. It's not necessarily going to hurt your proposal, because if it's logical to include, say, those researchers, or to have that maybe perspective on the research, then go ahead and do so. You will not necessarily be, it will not count against you. It's only in the case of where it is a requirement that SSH partners be involved and they are not, then that can be detrimental to your proposal and how it's evaluated.
Thank you. If a topic doesn't ask for SSH, will there still be extra points from the reviewers if we include it?
No, as I just said, it's not going to be frowned upon, but it still needs to make sense.
Okay. So I don't see any other questions. So thank you, Kimberly, and I think we can move on with the last but not least presentation of today. So I would like to invite the three representative of the three national contact points network of Cluster 4. Vaya, Diego, and Olrun.
Good afternoon.
Thank you. Hi, Vaya. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Elena. My name is Vaya Pitelli. I'm National Contact Point for a Space Thematic Area in Greece. And I'm here today to present the support services of National Contact Points on behalf of my colleagues. National Contact Points, or in brief, the NCPs, are support structures that have become an essential component in the implementation of the framework programs, and their key task is to support applicants who wish to participate in Horizon Europe. The NCPs are nominated at national level and act in close collaboration with the EU Commission and with national partners and clients, or in other words, applicants and proposers. The NCPs provide information and advice to potential applicants and beneficiaries through the project life cycle in their own language in a personalized manner. And the support services can be described in three main pillars, I would say: information and awareness raising, assisting, advising, and training, and signposting and cooperation. In more detail about information and awareness raising, the NCPs circulate general and specific documentation on Horizon Europe about conditions for participation, possibilities and conditions for submission of proposals, and on project budgeting and reporting. NCPs organize information and promotional activities, frequently in collaboration with Commission services, for example, info days, seminars, brokerage events. They can also provide information via newsletters and websites. NCPs can also, or this is one of their main activities, they raise awareness on Horizon Europe funding opportunities offered in Cluster 4, and also raise awareness of the objectives to ensure gender balance in Horizon Europe, strengthening the link between science and civil society, and on other cross-cutting issues. The NCPs also assist researchers and organizations, in particular new actors and SMEs, with a view to increasing and improving their participation on Horizon Europe. They can assist in partner search. They can advise on administrative procedures, rules, and issues. They can also advise participants on setting up with appropriate management and legal structures in their projects. They can also explain the scope and modalities of types of action in Horizon Europe. The NCPs also organize courses and training sessions, either for intermediaries and multipliers, or to specific groups for specific topics, such as legal aspects, modalities of participation, research and innovation areas, financial rules, open science practices, and fair management on digital research outputs, and other topics. Lastly, on signposting and cooperation, the NCPs signpost to other business support network services those potential participants who require assistance, for example, on general EU matters, on matters relating to internal market, technology transfer, or IPR. They strengthen cooperation among the NCPs and signpost to national, regional funding services and programs. You can find the contact details of your national contact point on the Funding and Tenders Opportunities portal. You can select support, national contact points for Horizon Europe, your country, and Cluster 4 as a function. Currently, there are 242 Cluster 4 NCPs. They are officially nominated NCPs at national level by national authorities, usually ministries. Most of them are in member states. There are NCPs in all associated countries as well, and in many third countries. These are some of the most frequently received questions from applicants. So how the NCP can support during proposal preparation or proposal submission, or even after the proposal submission. The NCPs can guide to find the right opportunities or to build the right consortium, and they can also give feedback during the proposal preparation on the actual proposal before it is submitted. Moreover, NCPs can ensure that the proposal is aligned to EU strategic objectives of the area. Next slide, please. National contact points function at national level, but they are also members in multinational networks, so they can provide services in an applicant at national level in these different stages of the proposal preparation shown in the graph. For example, NCPs can assist you to prepare a strong profile to get introduced to the community, to check your project idea, to build your consortium, and finally to develop your proposal. But also through the multinational NCP networks, you can access advanced services such as profile databases, project idea check, partner search, or even participation in international brokerage events. Next slide, please. Due to the wide Cluster 4 environment and its complexity, the European Commission funded 3 NCP network, namely projects for each one of the 3 thematic areas. So we have Idealist for digital thematic area, NCP for industry, and Cosmos for space thematic area. The 3 networks are promoting events, services, and tools for their thematic areas, foster circulation of knowledge, good practices, and available opportunities among Cluster 4 research and innovation communities, and they also collaborate with each other to provide wider Cluster 4 services. For this reason, and to get an idea on what each project is offering, we will continue with short presentations for each one. So I would like to invite Mrs. Alnur Hauke to present Idealist.
Will do. Thank you so much, Maya. Okay, not to keep everyone too long, since it's already very late in the afternoon, I will go through the presentation of Idealist really quickly. Don't worry if you cannot keep up with everything I say, and if you do not manage to get all the information that's on the slides. The idea is that you can look back at the recording afterwards. There's QR codes on each slide to scan and go to the respective online information, so you can just look there at any time afterwards and yeah, take your time with looking at the information as you like. Okay, next slide, please. Thank you so much. The Idealist network is probably the oldest NCP network in Horizon Europe and previous framework programs. We've been going since 1996. We've been the prototype, those of you who are still able to calculate, at almost 5 p.m. on a Friday afternoon. That means it's actually our 30th anniversary this year, so yay for that. We're a pretty big network. As you can see, we have 33 NCP offices from different countries, not only in the European Union, but also in associated countries, and we're in touch with a lot more NCP offices all over the world. We have actually most of our NCPs on the Idealist website. So again, there's a QR code for you right there to go to our website and find your Cluster 4 NCP that's responsible specifically for the digital part of the cluster. There's photographs of most of them, so you know who you're actually talking to. So you're very much encouraged to do that and to then speak to your NCP in person. Next slide, please. Thank you. We have a bunch of services to offer to you in Idealist across, let's say, the whole process chain of writing a Horizon Europe proposal. You can find detailed information on all of these on our website. All of them are free of charge, of course, because they're funded by the European Commission through the Idealist project. We're starting with things like project idea checks and generally providing you with information and background information on the actual core topics. We help you to find partners. We organize and co-organize brokerage events, usually with the Enterprise Europe network. And then we also have service to help you specifically with writing the proposal, like, for example, our full proposal checks or our big topic tree database, which includes a lot of background information also on the core topics. And you're very much encouraged to use all of those. And I'll just highlight some of them in the next couple of slides, again, with QR codes so that you can look at the actual pages and use them directly if you like. Next slide, please. Thank you. The first one I want to highlight is our online course material that is hosted on Udemy. It's a short online course. It takes probably something like 30 minutes to watch all the videos. It gives you background information generally on Horizon Europe, on the digital sections of Cluster 4, a little bit also on the Digital Europe program, on the partnerships that are involved, and all sorts of other things. So take a look at that course if you like. Again, it's free of charge. You can just go to the website and look at it, and there's additional documents in the background that you can download and read if you like. And it's really helpful. So that's part of our sort of call background information material package. Next slide, please. Thank you. Then we have project idea checks. We offer these online. There's a template on our website that you can download if you like. You can fill it in, send it to your NCP and arrange a meeting with them to talk through your project idea and see where in Horizon Europe and specifically in Cluster 4 it might fit. We also offer this kind of service at larger events that we attend. So if there's an on-site event in the digital part of the cluster that is sort of at the start of the call opening or even before that, check to see if idealists will be there, because we will probably be offering project idea checks on site so that you can even talk to an NCP in person there. And again, you can always use the online form as well and just contact your NCP digitally. Sorry. Next slide, please. Thank you. One thing that we might have seen on the Cluster 4 Info Days website already is that we're offering partner search. We have an online community platform for the digital part of the cluster that you can register to. It's hosted on B2Match, a system that you probably know already. If you haven't registered yet, definitely do that. You can find partners there for all the 2026 calls. And what is actually new is that we're going to keep this platform open also for 2027, so you don't need to re-register and put in all your information again. We'll just update the calls and you can just stay on the same platform. So it should be fairly convenient to use for everyone. We also do brokerage on-site, of course, but that is for attaching to actual on-site events. So that's not something we can offer for this particular event, unfortunately. Next slide, please. Thank you. Then the topic tree, like I said, definitely take a look at that one. That's our big database where we collect all the information that we gather on all the digital call topics. It's not only covering the digital call topics in Horizon Europe Cluster 4, it's also covering the Digital Europe program, and we show you also links between the topics so that you can look at the history and other related call topics and see where synergies for your projects might be found. So that's a really, really helpful tool. Last slide, please, I believe. Yes, if you are a coordinator of a Horizon Europe proposal, this is the slide that you really, really want to take a screenshot of and keep in mind, because we're organizing full proposal checks, which is an online event that you can register to and where we employ from project funds, experienced Horizon Europe evaluators to give you feedback on your proposal draft before you submit it for the actual Horizon Europe evaluation process. So that's a really, really good way of getting a second opinion on your proposal draft shortly before the deadline and to improve it before you actually hand it in. So definitely do that. It is only for coordinators though. So if you're not a coordinator, just maybe talk to your actual coordinator and ask them to register to this. Thank you very much. I think that's my last slide. Yes, it is. If you want to know more, follow us on LinkedIn. We have updated information on there usually. We also have Twitter and Blue Sky accounts if you prefer those. And yeah, definitely stay in touch. Thanks so much, and that's all from my side.
Next, would like to invite Diego Colitore for NCP for Industry to present the project.
Thank you very much, Faya. So I am Diego Colitore. I'm the coordinator of the NCP for Industry Plus project. We just started a few months ago, actually, with the new project of Cosmos for Horizon Europe and the new Idealist on the 1st of September 2025. And we represent the network of the cluster for industry national contact points. In the project are involved 20 organizations from different EU countries, but also associated countries. But actually, we are not limited to the beneficiaries, because we offer services, our support, our assistance also to the other national contact points that are not directly involved in the project as beneficiary. Next slide, please. So the objective, of course, of the project is mainly to promote the Horizon Europe Cluster for Industry funding opportunities among the different stakeholders. They can be academia or a research center or innovation communities or industries, and also stimulate the knowledge transfer among the national contact point communities, but also organize activities for the applicants. Next slide, please. So we talk with different groups, of course, and our activities are 4 different groups. The first group, we look for are the cluster for industry national contact points, not only industry, but also the general community of cluster 4. And together with all the national contact points, we produce materials that can be useful for the applicants, training activities, capacity building activities, and also webinars. Other relevant initiatives and stakeholder groups like association, industrial association, industrial partnerships that are inside cluster for industry. Together with them, we organize webinar activities and also on-site activities like brokerage events and things like that. Newcomers, for sure, are always welcome, and we try to help them in understanding a little bit more the complex world of the industrial area of Cluster 4, and for sure the European Commission that helps us in our daily job with a constant communication. Next slide, please. We offer, as the other projects, a series of services. Among these, for sure, pre-proposal checks, but also full proposal checks. By now, if you look to our website, you will find the link at the end of this presentation. Our full proposal check platform is open also for submission. You have still time. Essentially, this activity is helpful for all the coordinators to evaluate their proposal, and it will be evaluated by Horizon Europe expert before the submission to the funding and tender portal before the deadline. We organize also, of course, matchmaking opportunities. We have an online platform now that you can find always on our website. It's hosted by B2Match, but we try to organize also on-site networking, so you can be constantly updated on our social media or website. Besides these classical traditional activities like trainings on different aspects of Cluster 4 industry, webinar with partnership, promoting also their activity. Next slide, please. Yes, these are the links to the main activity for applicants that we are promoting now and that we are organizing now. Our brokerage event platform that will be open until the deadline of the industrial call, so after mid-April, and our proposal check platform where you can apply for an evaluation before the submission deadline. Next slide, please. This is just the link for our website. You can find, of course, a section with news and events, but also a section with different tools where you can find useful materials like fact sheet, micro-learning module where you can, let's say, easily learn something about different aspects of Horizon Europe Cluster 4 industry. Next slide, please. Thank you, everyone. Here you can find like our main contact. We have a YouTube channel, of course, a LinkedIn page as well. And if you need something, just contact us by email or through our social media. Thank you, Baya.
Thank you, Diego. And now I would like to continue with the presentation of Cosmos, the network of space NCPs. This is the network. Sorry, but something happened with the template as I said, but in any case, Cosmos Space NCP network exists since the 7th framework program. Now we are Cosmos for Horizon Europe Plus, a consortium of 15 partners from 15 countries. All organizations are space NCP organizations and partners are space NCPs. Next slide, please. We are functioning in the environment of Cluster 4, collaborating with Idealist and NCP for Industry. Next slide, please. And our objectives are to increase the quality and support harmonization of space NCP services, to lower the entry barriers for newcomer applicants, to attract new types of players and applicants from widening countries, as well as to raise the quality of submitted proposals, and to increase the visibility of the thematic area of space to new types of players by organizing matchmaking activities and ensuring bilateral communication about the cross-cutting issues throughout Horizon Europe for the benefit of the European RNI community. Cosmos has two categories of activities and services, basically addressing two NCPs, organizing trainings, providing information material and guides, and support the NCPs, enhancing collaboration among space NCPs. The activities and services for applicants include the organization of info days and trainings, matchmaking and networking events, pitching session, and also providing information material and guides. For now, for the new space calls, we organize an online brokerage event on the 5th of February. If you may click again, please. The brokerage event will be on the 5th of February, but right afterwards, the networking platform will open and it will remain open until the call deadlines. So you're invited to register and meet potential partners for your proposals. Next slide, please. If you can click again, the Cosmos participated at the latest EUSPA Downstream Day last December in Prague, organizing a brokerage event and pitch session. If you may click again, please, the EUSPA call is still open until the 24th February. So if you're preparing a proposal for this call, you can still contact your national contact point and ask for support if needed. Next slide, please. If you're less experienced in space thematic area and proposal preparation, you may find useful the guidelines for newcomer applicants. You can find this guide on our website, and also on our website you can find the analysis tool. Next slide, please. This is a tool for the participation in Horizon Europe space calls for the past years and for several countries. You might find this information useful for your preparation. Next slide, please. I would like to invite you to visit our website for more information and subscribe to our newsletter. You can always follow us on LinkedIn to get updates about our activities and news and events about the space thematic area. Next slide, please. Before closing this presentation, if you may click on the next one, please. I would like to remind you the networking opportunities that all Cluster 4 NCP networks offer. For the digital calls, for the industry calls, and for the space call, you can find these links on the website of the info days, of the current info days. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vaya, Alron, and Diego for the presentation, and also for the matchmaking opportunities that are running now dedicated to the Info Day. Do we have, I know that we are running a little bit late, but we still have some questions. What happens when NCP says they are not able to answer our question? Is there a way to contact the officer in Brussels, or should we ask a partner to ask NCP of their country?
If I may.
Yes, please, Vanya.
Your national contact point can contact the European Commission, the ANCP correspondents, to get an answer, and you can also submit your answer through the service on the portal, the inquiry service, which may lead to get an official answer.
Thank you, Vaya. I think this is for Aldrun. When registering for Idealist, it requires an invitation code. How can I get it?
I believe there is probably some error there because we don't actually have any service that requires an invitation code. So if you are trying to register to our brokerage platform, that is completely open. So you can just click on the registration button and fill in your details, and that's it. It also doesn't require activation of the profile. So the process should be fairly easy for you. Same if you want to use our topic tree, you can just access that online. It's completely freely available. So I'm not entirely sure what it is you're trying to access here that asks you for an invitation code, but none of the services that are available to proposers do this. So yeah, maybe talk to me in person, send me an email or something, and we can figure this out bilaterally.
Perfect. So there's no probably I don't know if just wait a few seconds if there are any other questions that we can share with the public. At the same time, again, I would like to invite for those who have not done yet to register to the brokerage event of the 3 networks. So they are free of charge, and so don't hesitate to register and try to build new opportunities and new partnership. Okay, so no more questions. So I would like to thank you, Vaya, Diego, and Arun for the presentation again. Also the participants that attended the full info day, and also my colleagues again behind the scene that they did a great job to finish and to do it in the smoothest way all the info day. Thank you again, and good luck with your applications.